We are back at it with another episode of Niche Knowledge and Nonsense. Thank you for tuning in. I am one of the co-hosts, Ethan, and I am here with
Bailey.
Absolutely. And it's great to have you along for another episode. We do this every 2 weeks. We got some funky topics. We have some historical drama, some Bridgerton action going on in here. And while we're not doing like a rundown on Bridgerton fan theories or anything today, that could be on our horizon. And speaking of horizons and other atmospheric phenomena, such, we have a little bit of an update on the tornado discussion. We got a little bit of pop-off going on with that, specifically around whether or not you open your windows when there's a tornado to prevent a massive pressure gradient between the inside and outside. Bailey, do you want to comment a bit on that?
Yeah, so I took a clip from our last episode and put it on TikTok. And it's sitting around like 7,000 views, and we've got quite a few comments from people on it just saying like, no way, like my family did this growing up. I recently did this, and one guy said he didn't do it and one of his windows was still sucked out of the frame.
Oh, jeez.
So before I responded, I was like gaslighting myself. I was like, no, I thought we like read that you shouldn't do it, and it is true. You shouldn't open your windows or doors because it's not the pressure, like the atmospheric pressure, that you have to worry about. It's more about water and wind.
Sure.
Can cause more damage than if you were to keep them closed. And Mythbusters actually proved it in one of their episodes. So we didn't mention that in the last episode, but
no, because we had no idea. I didn't know a more official, like, Discovery Channel backed entity had already handled this question. But the general consensus is keep your windows closed. Though some people understand the basic idea of why you might open them, just in as far as the urban legend popped off. But keep those windows closed. The other thing to remember also is goblins tend to make their moves out of sight. And if they know you're going to be in a basement for a while and you left your windows open, like, come on, you're asking for goblin activity. You're like almost inviting it into your homes. And they're not a vampire. They don't need permission to climb through your window. They're just going to do it.
Is this episode going to be about goblins?
No, but goblins might have a tangential appearance, maybe or maybe not. You'll just have to find out. Yeah, absolutely. But no, today, Bailey, I actually wanted to talk about a really, really cool folktale that you may or may not have heard about. But unlike a lot of crap that we go talking about on here, like tornadoes and stuff that's not real, once in a while we hit on something that is real. And everything in this is 100, or I want to say 97% factual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Absolutely. Okay.
Most of the time that means that it's not coming from you. This is going to be...
No, I don't have any bull crap. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
I'm telling you this. That's what makes my rants so special, is that they're all founded in the truth. So, Bailey, I'm going to send you a couple of pictures right here. And for people listening, I'm going to paint you a visual picture. So don't even worry if you feel left out.
Okay.
All right. Bailey, I'm going to send you a picture. You let me know if you recognize this man. And I know what you're saying. He looks exactly like me for real.
Actually, he does, but with longer hair and older.
Yeah. So this is Andy Warhol. You've probably heard of him, famous for the Campbell's paintings.
Soup can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly like that. He's a pretty popular artist. So a lot of people know him. Not everyone knows that in 1968, he was shot by writer Valerie Solanas at his studio. So She shot him in the chest, and he was actually declared dead, but was revived and survived after hours of surgery. He lived on for another 20 years. So while he had some lasting scars, he might look a little bit soft around the edges, but he's actually a pretty bad dude.
Okay.
Right? Now,
I had no idea.
I actually didn't know that he got shot. That could be a whole mini episode in itself, but we've got more ground to cover. So let me go on to exhibit number 2, and let me know if you recognize this man.
Is that Lil Wayne?
It is Lil Wayne. Correct. So most people know
How are these related?
I'll get to it. But most people know his music, and they might recall the story about how he accidentally shot himself in the chest at age 12 while playing with a gun. So police arrived on the scene. Yeah. He found a gun, I believe, in his mom's apartment and was playing with it, accidentally shot himself in the chest. He says, now looking back, he's mentioned that he doesn't know if it was really an accident or a cry for help, whatever. But police arrived on the scene, and one officer rushed him to the hospital. And Lil Wayne refers to the officer as Uncle Bob and credits him for giving him another shot at life.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good because the last shot he got was in his torso. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, no.
I'm going to send you another character you might know right here and see if we're picking up on the theme.
That's Tupac, who was also shot.
Whoa! Correct. So this guy is a little...
where is this going?
It's going.
Oh,
Trust me. So this is a little more extreme. Most people believe that he was allegedly killed in a shooting in 1996. But younger fans might not know that he was actually shot 5 times in a robbery 2 years earlier, catching bullets in his thighs and his groin and one in his head. So,
what?
Yeah, Tupac checked himself out of the hospital one day after sustaining 5 gunshot wounds. Diddy may or may not have been involved in this, by the way. It's pretty crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Which we all know right now, the Diddy stuff coming out.
Yeah,
is,
and it's official niche knowledge and nonsense stance that we do not have a professional relationship with Puff. Like, we don't even have much of a personal relationship with him. We're not involved.
No, and I'm not going to make light of the situation because it is so messed up, but I feel like it is a journalist's responsibility when they cover the courtroom to make the headline say, "Did he do it?" We will find out.
Yes. Okay.
Right? Missed opportunity. I don't know if you want me to.
The headlines had to have been wild.
Hire me for your headlines.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know what to say.
Reach out, niche knowledge and nonsense at gmail.com.
It's funny, but it's not. Kind of messed up.
Absolutely.
John Lennon,
so
who
the
was also
last
shot.
person we have was also shot. And yeah, he didn't make it. So anyway, all of that is to
no
say,
background on John Lennon. Just,
no.
Nope,
Yeah,
that guy didn't make it.
Sorry.
Okay.
All that is to say that there are some tough folks out there, but there is one guy who is on another level entirely. So this guy we're talking about is named Wenceslao Miguel Herrera. The man who was executed by firing squad, which was 9 shots to the body, followed by 1 point-blank shot to the head, 10 shots in total, and not for Moguel, this would largely be considered unsurvivable, but this earned him the nickname El Fusilado, the shot one. He lived. So,
what?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
First of all, everyone on that firing squad should have been fired. I'm just saying.
Fired like some stormtroopers or something.
They had one job.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But anyway, here's a picture of the guy right there. He's a very friendly looking lad. But no, every shot hit. They all landed in his torso, all 9 shots, and then the final one right through his head. But we'll get into it. But no, they were actually a fine aim. This guy was just either very lucky or born under the right star.
So I have a question.
Sure.
What year?
So he was shot in 1915 during the Mexican Revolution.
Okay. And why was he being shot? Did he
Well,
commit a crime? Or are we
well,
going to cover that?
we'll get into it,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Okay.
to understand like what would cause a young guy like Moguel to end up at the business end of several rifles, we got to do a brief recap on the Mexican Revolution. So
Okay.
I'm not like obviously much of a historian, so I'm not going to try to give everybody the, the gripping details of
Yeah.
a war that happened in another country. But I got this great summary courtesy of Britannica, which goes, the revolution began against a background of widespread dissatisfaction with the elitist and oligarchical, oh my gosh, policies of Porfirio Diaz. He favored like wealthy landowners and industrialists. When Diaz in 1908 said that he welcomed the democratization of Mexican political life and appeared ambivalent about running for his seventh re-election as president in 1910, Francisco Madero, an idealistic liberal from an upper-class family, emerged as the leader of the anti-re-electionistas and announced his candidacy. Diaz had him arrested and declared himself the winner after a mock election in June, but Madero, released from prison, published his Plan de San Luis Potosi from San Antonio, Texas, calling for a revolt on November 20th. So, this revolt would end in failure, but it would destabilize confidence in the greater Mexican government, and over the next couple of years, the country would fall into upheaval. So, in all, like the Mexican Revolution would last from about 1910 until 1920, a full decade, and it's notable for having extremely rapid shifts in who was doing what, who was winning, who was helping, what countries got involved. The U.S. kind of hopped in there for a bit. It was just wild. It was like a TV drama.
Okay.
The Wikipedia page on it is just absurd.
Wow. I had no idea. I've never dug into like anything, and I'm interested by history.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's funny enough. I feel like in U.S. schools, we focus on Western Civ through high school. Like we learn all about basically starting in early France.
We do.
And everything around there. I don't think I had even through college, I don't know if I had anything that really deep dived South American or like specifically Mexican government or history.
I feel like a lot of those classes, if they were specific like that, it was like a separate course.
Yeah, you'd take like Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4, then Spanish history maybe, but
yeah. But I mean, you could ask me about Canadian history and I wouldn't know that either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's true. But what if I asked you about the Canadian future?
Well, they do have money that smells like maple syrup. So
do they?
They're headed in the right direction. No.
Oh, they also have those really nice all plastic dollar bills that feel really nice even when they get wet. Some people hate them. Like over here, we got paper money. But
doesn't your brother live in Canada?
He does.
Okay.
And they have all plastic money. And I'm not talking about I think they have plastic money unless I'm making that up in my head. I might be confusing that with London.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, they'll fact check us in the comments.
They'll
we'll be
roast
good.
us.
Yeah.
And by they, I mean nobody.
Yeah,
Nobody
absolutely.
listens.
Me in 20 years from now, where I'll comment, I actually had that wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So that's basically how Moguel found himself as a young rebel, fighting for what he believed was the brightest future for Mexico at the tender age of 25. Now, 25 isn't that old, but this was in the 1910s, so it was pretty old back then. I ran it through an inflation calculator, and $25 in 1910 would be about $800 today. So you can imagine someone becoming a rebel and going to war at like 800 years old. Like,
that's not the same. Ethan, that is not the same.
But it's not a one-to-one translation, but he wasn't like a little brat.
Life expectancies back then were way less. So
Sure.
it
So the
was
fact that he made it
older.
to 800 is kind of insane. So
He's actually still alive today.
he actually didn't pass away that long ago. I don't want to be a
No,
spoiler.
no.
Um, but perhaps it was his aging eyesight that led him to be captured by federal forces in 1915, right in the middle of the war. So, given the tension of the times, rebels were treated to automatic executions with no trials. That's right. It was kill
Awful.
on sight. Okay, and he was good and captured, which meant as soon as he knew he was good and dead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very unfortunate.
So it was for him. But as the story goes, Moguel was blindfolded and stood against a wall as 9 federal riflemen raised the guns. On signal, they fired, and all 9 bullets ripped through Moguel's torso. Despite being a plucky little character in his tender age, 800s, whatever I said, Moguel was actually, like, he was hit, and he fell to the ground after only 9 shots. Reminds me of, my days drinking at the disco. You know what I'm saying? Throw back 9 tequilas and I'd be on the ground too.
Oh my God.
We can joke about it because he survived. Okay. Unfortunately for him, though, there was a tradition of the senior officer in any execution party waltzing up to your remains and firing one last warning shot into your head. So this was called a coup de grace. Have you heard this expression before? Because I have, but I didn't ever.
Like
I
a
didn't know what it means.
pro quo, like you do this for me, I'll do this for you, and
Kind of.
he's like, all right, I get to shoot you back now. I don't
That might
know.
be the
no,
same
I have
language.
not heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't know what it meant. It's apparently French in origin, and it means a stroke of mercy. So the idea is, that if you got shot 9 times, you're going to die, but you might just be bleeding out. So it's the more ethical thing to do to go finish you off. I
Sure.
thought it was somewhat underwhelming because I thought it was referring to the 2024 rap album by American recording artist Eminem. Coup de grace, the same name, Death of Slim Shady. But, that's why
Okay.
I'm recording podcasts in my basement instead of fighting wars or recording rap albums. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So this is where the story gets really weird. So having been shot 10 times, Moguel was crumpled in the dirt, 100% alive. He was doing fine. Now, while he may have been 800 years old, not all of his wits had left him. He was allegedly fully conscious, but had the wit to play possum until the federal officers walked away, which they did because they figured, their job was done with overkill. Like,
Right.
they, as I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were dealing with someone who is half cat or something with extra lives. And when the coast was clear, Moguel opened his eyes, searched his surroundings, and crawled away quietly, reaching a church that was about 3 blocks away, where he was given some quick medical attention and sent home.
What?
Yeah, it's
Well, I guess
kinda
it was
nuts.
1915. It wasn't like, they'd I don't know. Did they have ERs back then?
Sure, I would imagine.
mean-
My guess would be I know, like, historically, sometimes only people who would do, like, had any medical skill at all would be, like, nunneries or, local. They
Right.
used to say that the priest was just whoever was the smartest guy in the village. And, he was also the doctor and the estate planner and the lawyer and,
Yeah.
maybe the only person who could read.
True.
So, like
Why
you were
everybody
saying.
believed what he said.
Yeah.
He could say the world is ending and people couldn't read, so they would just be like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
the world is
and,
ending."
and it wouldn't be for another 100 years before Al Gore would confirm that it was ending, but not for the reasons that they thought.
Right? Okay.
Yeah,
We're on
but-
to something.
We are. We'll look forward to our episode on climate change next in 2 weeks.
Actually,
Don't say it.
I do really
Oh.
want to do an episode on nuclear fallout.
Ooh.
So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put that on the agenda. So he made a very inspiring recovery in Mexico, and although he was scarred, stories of his survival quickly spread. He earned the nickname El Fusilado, again, the shot one. his fame radiated out from there until he had earned worldwide interest. So things really picked up when he was featured on the hit radio program Ripley's Believe It or Not in the 1930s.
Okay, that was around back then?
Yeah, I didn't realize. This got me on another little rabbit hole being like, what the heck? I thought that was just weird
museums. I've been to a couple museums. I've been to a couple of those.
Apparently it was a radio program, like a hosted thing all the way back then, like pre-World War II.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's wild.
Interesting.
And I mean, back then, some of the, if anybody saw The Greatest Showman, like a lot of entertainment stuff was kind of like not super ethical. It was kind of freak show mentality. It was taking advantage of
people who didn't have any other opportunity. Yeah.
For sure. And while Moguel he did have some disfigurement from the shots, obviously, like he got shot in the face. He had a pretty good attitude out of it. And I mean, it sounds like from what I read, he maintained like full mental faculties and was a pretty hopeful person.
Okay.
So, yeah, he ended up sharing his story with the world, and the world listened. I mentioned that he didn't escape unscathed, so I'll send you a couple photos of kind of the aftermath of how it went there. But in most of the photos of him that I found, and it's pretty well documented, he's got good upright posture. He's often seen smiling. He clearly has like some lower jaw like mandibular damage, but he comes across as somebody who's still spirited about it. And I think that stems from that he literally survived an execution as a rebel and went on to, live for decades. So ultimately, the bullets didn't slow him down because he lived until 1976, passing away in his 80s.
So did he remain in Mexico, or did he come to the U.S.?
He, I believe, remained in Mexico. He kind of traveled around, I think, doing some little appearance spots and things like that. Because, he had a really good story, and he was in a position where he could still tell his story, Right.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for anybody wanting to do the math, I already did it for you. If he was shot in 1915, he lived to be 80 years old. So $80 in 1915 would be $447 in 1976 when he passed away. So like 447 is like, if any of us could make it to that, at least even as a ratio, I'd be pretty happy with my life.
So did he technically age backwards then? Because he was 800 and now he's down to 400, right?
Oh, hold on. I've made a mistake somewhere. Hold on. Yeah, this isn't right at all. Regardless, shoot, I just really thought I was on this one.
It's okay.
Just delete the episode. Okay, anyway, he lived to be
we just end it there and play the outro music.
End the episode.
Man.
But he had some pretty wild impact going out from there, telling his story, and his memory lives on in pop culture to this day. Many people actually know this story because of a little band called Chumbawamba and their 2008 song El Fusilado.
Okay, I know Chumbawamba, but I don't know that song.
For sure. And I mean, we'll have to link it because I obviously don't think we could just start playing full songs in this episode. But
I don't think so either.
Oops, hold on. But I'm going to send it to you because it's a it's a nice song. And it basically recaps the whole story within a couple of minutes right there. And it's kind of interesting because it doesn't sound like most Chumbawamba music that people would know, being, like one song.
This is not anything like their other music.
No, it's not. It's like mostly like a cappella.
I like it though. I mean, it's got a good message, and the like image of it says you should never try to freeze culture. What you can do is recycle that culture, take your older brother's hand-me-down jacket and restyle it, refashion it to the point where it becomes your own. But don't just regurgitate creative history or hold art and music and literature as fixed, untouchable, and kept under glass.
It's kind of philosophical for Chumbawamba. I might have a bad read on them.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Nice.
But that concludes the broad strokes of his story right there. And again, I just think it's a pretty wild thing to have happened with, again, no modern medicine. I mean, we know this. They didn't even do the first basic, like limb transplants and stuff until the 80s. Organ transplants was like the 50s.
Well, you know that they were people were most likely experimented on, but there weren't any successful ones until then.
Yeah,
for sure, from that episode that we did. But I will say, I mean, sometimes like standing up for what's right is scary, especially back then when there wasn't like, you weren't taken to trial. It was just immediately execution.
Absolutely.
That's wild. Mm-hmm. But for people to like see him not die and come back, I feel like a lot of people would have seen him as like some type of prodigy.
No, that's actually a really good point. Like I mean, that's a wild marketing move then for your, your effort as whatever, rebel faction you're working with is that you're quite seriously unkillable.
Yeah. I would like to see him up against One Punch Man and see how he does and if he survives.
Right.
Do you know, was he buried or did they freeze him? Or
I think Alcor actually had him cryonically preserved, so we could study in future. No, I actually have no idea where he was buried. I didn't dig that deep into him.
No, you're good.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been to Ripley's Believe It or Not museums. Is there one in Branson, Missouri?
There is one in Branson, Missouri. I don't know if they all look like this, but it's like split in half, I think. Like it looks like the building. I think I'm thinking of the right one. Yeah.
I've been to that one, and then we also went to one in the Wisconsin Dells, somewhere around that area.
One in the Dells? I've never been.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. But that was like 9 years ago that we went. But it was really neat. That blew my mind. I didn't realize it was around so long.
Yeah, I'm split. Some of the stuff in there, I'm just like, Ripley, I love what you're doing, but I don't believe it.
No, me either.
Yeah, same.
Believe it or not, I don't. Give me my money back. So
I actually do believe it's not butter. But yeah, this got me kind of thinking about what are some of the like folk heroes that we've kind of had in our generation. And I mean, one more that I can think of right here is, and this is I didn't want to put this at the top of the episode because I think it kind of lessens the impact of Wenceslao Moguel. But I believe 50 Cent was shot 9 times in an incident and survived. I think it was a pretty rough going. But
do you know that for sure? Because I don't.
I need to double check this really quick. But I think it's either 8 or 9. I had a little note on it.
It was
here.
9 times. Yeah, I didn't know that either. It's in his autobiography.
Yeah, he went on to have a pretty successful career and be a pretty wild businessman on top of being a great artist.
Yeah, I wonder what
does he have? I think he had like an ownership stake in Vitamin Water or something like that.
I have no idea, but I am curious to know. Let me see. What year was he born?
What if it's 1976? Welcome back, Moguel.
Ethan.
What?
It was 1975.
Oh, you might have some of the spirit in there because it's well known babies don't have souls until 1 or 2 years old, right?
But also, I wonder what 50 cents in 1975 would be.
Oh,
today.
Shoot. Oh, shoot. We might be onto something here.
Are you looking it up?
Yes. Hold on. Okay. So, point. Okay, 50 cents in
75.
1975. Oh my gosh, that'd be 309 today.
I think he should update his name.
$3.09. For sure. Which, interesting enough, I need to fiddle with these numbers a bit. That's really close to 308, which would be a chamber of like a size of bullet, like a bullet caliber, a popular rifle round, which could have been the shot that hit him.
You're going too far. You're trying to make connections.
We're going to get this tied around to 9/11. You trust me. I need to see how and what year will this equal $9.11.
Oh my gosh.
No. That is wild, though. Welcome back, Moguel. Great job on the vitamin water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can you think of any like modern examples like that?
I mean, the only folk hero I remember from school is Paul Bunyan and the Blue Babe,
Was he
the
in your
Blue
year?
Ox. Was he what?
Was he in your year in high school?
No, but
I didn't know him.
I went to the doctor once and I was like, this thing on my foot keeps bothering me. And he's like, oh, it's the Paul Bunyans. You get those when you get older.
What?
I'm joking. I don't have bunions. And I don't think they're named after Paul Bunyan.
Do you have one bunion?
I don't have any bunions right now. And I guess they're spelled different. But I will say, I did watch It Chapter 2, the new It movies. And I'm fairly certain the Paul Bunyan statue's used in that movie.
I was only pretending to not know who Paul Bunyan was.
You know who he is.
Yeah, I know who he is. I was trying to make you think that I thought he went to Hillsborough High.
He could have. I don't know.
Maybe he's the Hilltopper. Kind of looks like Paul Bunyan.
Oh my God.
Oh shoot,
Maybe
we're
you're
really
right.
getting to the ancient truths right here.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're from Hillsborough, Illinois, and our high school mascot was a hilltopper. We were the Hillsborough Hilltoppers.
Yeah, it was just
Imagine
a guy on top of a hill.
Let's go Hilltoppers!
Right.
And then we're like, I don't know.
I know,
what
there
the
was
fuck
like,
a Hilltopper does. Well, let's do it.
It's the Hilltoppers versus the demonic Wolverines. We'll see who's going to come out on top of this one.
The Blue Devils.
It's the Blue Devils versus the regular men climbing a small hill.
Or the Piasa birds from Pana. Was it? No, it wasn't Pana.
Was that a sports team, Piasa Birds?
Yeah.
Dude, that's kind of wild, too. Did you believe in the Piasa Bird?
I did not. Oh, it's in Piasa, Illinois. Duh.
Are they big enough to have a
their mascot
school?
is like a Native American legend, and it's like a huge winged creature with a beard and deer antlers. It's creepy AF.
Oh, yeah. I think it was real. I think that we actually got all these little tangent species because of it. They're probably little branch-offs.
Yeah. I think so, too. But
yeah, but I can't even think of any, like, who's survived something that wild. I'm sure if I just Googled it around, I would find some stuff. I knew some people who survived some pretty gnarly incidents, like,
yeah.
Once I slipped on a t-shirt I had concrete floors in my apartment, and I was running to like use the restroom or something at like 2 a.m., slipped on a t-shirt, smacked my head into a wall and got a boo-boo and had to go to the doctor because I thought I had a concussion, but they said I was just being a pretty big baby. So that's kind of like being shot 10 times,
What?
but not quite.
Oh my gosh. I cannot imagine what it feels like to get shot. I hope I never know what that is like.
Same.
Because like, have you ever gotten a paper cut from cardboard? Like a cardboard cut?
No, I would have thought it'd be
No.
too thick to cut you.
No.
No?
The edges? Oh no. It'll slice you right up. But
It's
I
worse
mean a
than
paper
paper?
cut, because you know what that is. Well, yeah, because it's thicker.
That's why
And
I thought
just-
it wouldn't cut you.
No, the edges of it are pretty sharp. I don't know. You gotta be careful, dude. That hurts too.
But you've had more like jobs that require like unpackaging like goods. So I guess
True. True.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
know. I got cut on some. I don't know what it is, like tin ceiling tiles. Like old buildings would
Ooh.
have those, and
Yeah.
I was taking some pieces of it down with some tin snips, and you get like the little fish hook edges where it doesn't line up exactly. And I think what's
Ooh.
funny, they're so sharp that you don't even feel it when you get cut. Have you ever had that? And you
Yeah.
look down and there's just like blood running down your hand, and
Well,
you're
I
like,
have from like a soda can. That's 10, you
oh,
know?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've definitely had it like where I'm trying to like stick my tongue in the monster can into the little hole, to try to get the last of the monstery goodness, and you can get a little slice like that. I don't recommend it.
Oh my God.
Eventually, you build.
Yep.
Okay, can you Google something for me? Can you
Yeah.
Philip? Can you develop a callus on your tongue?
From what?
Trying to lick out of monster cans.
Um, yes, it is possible to develop a callus-like thickening on the tongue,
What?
often referred to as a scalloped tongue or leukoplakia.
Bro, I'm
This
scalloping my tongue. What the heck?
this occurs due to chronic irritation or trauma to the tongue surface, causing the tissue to thicken as a protective response.
It's wild
So
that our
that is
bodies
sick.
even do that. That's wild.
Well, okay, I thought of that like because when I was in high school and everyone's like, "Oh my God, where are you gonna go to college? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do after high school? What are you gonna do after you graduate? Oh my God, do you know what you're gonna do yet? Oh my God!" And then I was like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll go be like a dental hygienist or something." And then I learned about hairy tongue. Do you know what hairy tongue is, Ethan?
I feel like it's a setup for a joke.
No,
What?
this is a
No.
legit thing. Look up pictures because I'm not doing it. So your body will do things like grow calluses or hair to protect itself. And
Oh no,
I
hairy
needed to clear
tongue
my throat.
syndrome.
If you so like I know some people who will use hydrogen peroxide as a teeth whitener and swish it around their mouth and stuff, but it's actually not good to use like consistently. And it can actually damage your tongue, like the skin cells on your tongue, and then your tongue can start to grow hair to protect itself.
Holy
Hairy tongue is
Toledo.
real.
This
And
is
then I said,
gross.
well,
Also known as black hairy tongue syndrome.
mm-hmm.
What the heck? Is that just like lengthening of like I don't know, like some kind of taste bud filament? It looks like hair.
It is a legit thing. If you have hairy tongue, no offense, maybe get that looked at though. And
Okay,
give your dentist a raise or something.
it
I
says
don't know.
it's technically a harmless condition where the tongue's papillae, or tiny hair-like projections, become elongated and discolored, giving it a hairy appearance. I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's harmless because it's I feel harmed. I feel affronted. What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's scary. What is the number one
Yes.
cause of hairy tongue? Poor mouth and tongue cleaning, dry mouth, eating only soft foods, etc. Well, so like freaking anything. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done.
Yeah,
I don't like that at all. Yes.
no.
But anyway, so ladies and gents, don't smoke tobacco. That can increase your odds of getting a hairy tongue.
I did, and I don't have hairy tongue, but smoking tobacco is also not great for you. So
Absolutely. And
know.
no, none of you perverts listening, we're not doing tongue reveals on this podcast.
No, even though Ethan almost was in Ripley's Believe It or Not for the longest tongue.
Believe it or not. Yeah. Oh boy.
That's
But
true.
yeah, it actually is. That's probably floating around there somewhere too. Is there
Yeah.
a demon on your back wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's a mask.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. It's just a little mask.
Okay.
He's just a little
Awesome.
guy.
Yeah, but
I got Frankenstein's monster Well, actually, it's the Monsters guy with some bubble gum right there. So I got him that friend.
You don't want your art to be lonely.
Yeah, I like to fill the walls up, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, we are kind of opposite on our wall decorating philosophies, as evidenced by my wall behind.
Cute. Everyone has their own taste.
It's kind of sad, actually.
I'm definitely more of like a maximalist when it comes to decorating, but I try to do like recycled art mostly. So
absolutely. And you got it down. You are an entire vibe.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
You too.
Every wall you have in your home is really good to take photos in front of. That's one of the things I like about it. It's like selfie central in there.
I like liking the space I spend most of my time in.
That'd be an excellent tweet. Circa like 2012, maybe. I don't know. I like liking the space I spend time in. I'm going to workshop it. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, that's about all I've got on that. I thought it was a very cute story. It had a pretty happy ending, even though there was some darkness in the root of it. And, if you're feeling a little bit kicked down, like you've been shot 9 times and plus once in the head, and you might feel like you're at the rock bottom, keep in mind there is a nun 3 blocks away who wants to shove some gauze in your bullet holes and send you back home. And from there, you might end up on Ripley's Believe It or Not. And this is all in a, what would you say? Not hypothetical. Oh, God. Metaphorical?
Sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'll say in a manner of speaking. Bailey, do we have anything else?
Oh, gosh. I don't think so. Not right now. But, I mean, as always, thank you to Eric Sparrow for letting us use his song Cherry Crush as our intro and outro for our podcast. That's super cool. He is always putting out new music, so make sure to check him out on Spotify. But Spotify doesn't really support artists like they should. So check out his Bandcamp as well. Check out his stuff there.
Cool merch all over the place.
For real. And we'll have a new episode in 2 weeks. So thanks for listening.
I don't know if it'll be the next episode, but we're actually going to be attending a haunted expo, so I think we're going to get a lot of footage and some stories from there. And I'm thinking, what is that? That's about 2 weeks away right now. So
I think so. Let me check.
We'll have another episode coming out, I think, right after that. So it might not be the next episode, but we got some cool stuff going on right there. We'll see some old friends, make some new ones. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
All right.
So stay tuned.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.